Principle of Creation, Section 2, Universal Prime Energy, Give and Take Action, and the Four-Position Foundation. 1. Universal Prime Energy. God is the creator of all things. He is the absolute reality, eternally self-existent, transcendent of time and space. Exodus 3:14. Therefore, the fundamental energy of his being must also be absolute and eternally self-existent. At the same time, he is the source of the energy which enables all things to maintain their existence. We call this energy universal prime energy. 2. Give and take action. When a subject and an object are engaged in give and take action within a being, after having established a reciprocal relationship between themselves with the universal prime energy, the energy necessary to maintain the existence of that being is produced. This energy provides power for existence, multiplication, and action. The process which generates the necessary energy is called give and take action. Therefore, universal prime energy and the power of give and take action form a reciprocal relationship of cause and effect, internal and external, and subject and object. Consequently, universal prime energy is a vertical power, while the power of give and take action is a horizontal power. Let us further investigate God and his creation from the standpoint of universal prime energy and give and take action. God contains within himself dual essentialities which exist forever. Through universal prime energy, these two form a mutual or reciprocal relationship, which develops into an eternal give and take action. The energy produced through this process is the force of give and take action. Through this force, God's dual essentialities establish a reciprocal base. This results in the foundation of existence upon which God himself exists forever. Each and every creation enters into give and take action between the dual essentialities that form an individual self by forming a reciprocal relationship through universal prime energy. Through the force of give and take action, the dual essentialities produce a reciprocal base, which in turn produces a foundation of existence in an individual self. Then upon this foundation, the individual self can stand as God's object and receive all the power necessary for its own existence. For example, an atom comes to exist through the give and take action between a proton and an electron. This is the action of fusion. A molecule comes into being through the give and take action between a positive ion and a negative ion, which causes a chemical reaction. Electricity is produced through the give and take action between positive electrical charges and negative electrical charges, which causes electrical action. All plants multiply through the give and take action between stamen and pistil. Animals maintain their existence and multiply through the give and take action between male and female. Between the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, coexistence is made possible through give and take action. Plants give oxygen to animals, animals return carbon dioxide to plants, flowers offer nectar to bees, and bees pollinate flowers. When we study the heavenly bodies, we find that the solar system exists through the give and take action between the sun and the planets. The earth and moon are also able to maintain their orbital movements through give and take action. The human body maintains its life through the give and take action between arteries and veins, inhalation and exhalation, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. An individual is able to achieve his purpose of existence through the give and take action between mind and body. There is give and take action between husband and wife in a home, among individuals in a society, between government and people in a nation, and among nations in the world. Give and take action governs all relationships within man and all relationships among men. However evil man may have been through all ages and in all places, he at least has the power of conscience remaining in his inmost self. This conscience is always at work, influencing him to live for righteousness. No one can prevent this power from operating within himself. It causes him to feel conscience-stricken at the moment of committing evil. If there were no conscience left in fallen men, God's providence of restoration would be impossible. Where does this power of conscience originate? Since all power comes from give and take action, the conscience must be no exception. The conscience is able to operate because it stands as an object to a certain subject, thus performing the action of give and take on a reciprocal base formed between the two. We know that the subject of the conscience is God. The human fall signifies that through some act, man was cut off from having a give and take relationship with God, thus failing to unite into one body with him. Instead, man entered into a give and take relationship with Satan, forming a reciprocal base with him. Jesus, having become one with God, through the relationship of give and take, came to this world as his Son. Therefore, if and when fallen man unites with Jesus in a perfect give and take relationship, he will be able to restore his original nature, thus entering again into a give and take relationship with God and becoming one with him. Therefore Jesus is called the mediator for fallen men, being the way, the truth, and the life. He came to serve mankind with love and sacrifice, giving even his own life. If we turn to him with faith, we should not perish but have eternal life. John 3:16. True Christianity is a religion of life, through which men can restore the vertical give-and-take circuit with God by establishing, through love and sacrifice, the horizontal give-and-take circuit between men centering on Jesus. The teachings and deeds of Jesus were solely for this purpose, as he indicated on numerous occasions. Judge not that you be not judged, for with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged, and the measure you give will be the measure you get. Matthew 7:1-2. So whatever you wish that men would do to you, do so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Matthew 7:12. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I also will acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. Matthew 10:32. He who receives a prophet because he is a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. He who receives a righteous man because he is a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. Matthew 10:41. And whoever gives to one of these little ones even a cup of cold water because he is a disciple, truly I say to you, he shall not lose his reward. Matthew 10:42. 3. The four-position foundation. 3 objective purposes through origin, division, union, action. 1. Origin, division, union, action. When, through universal prime energy, the dual essentialities of God enter into give-and-take action by forming a reciprocal relationship, the force of give-and-take action causes multiplication. This action causes the dual essentialities to separate into 2 substantial objects centered upon God. The substantial subject and object pair then enter into another give-and-take action by forming a reciprocal relationship through universal prime energy. By forming one unit, they become an object to God. In this manner, God, as the origin, is divided into 2 separated substances, after which these 2 again unite to form one body. We call this process origin, division, union, action. 2. 3 objective purposes. When, according to the origin, division, union, action, ODU action, the origin is divided into 2 separated substances of subject and object, which have again united into one body, 4 positions are formed. One takes a subjective position, while the remaining 3 stand as objects, thus producing 3 objective bases. When they enter into give-and-take action among themselves, one of the 4 positions assumes the role of subject, while the other 3 fulfill their objective purposes respectively. 3. The 4-position foundation. When, according to ODU action, the origin is divided into 2 substantial objects, they assume the roles of subject and object respectively, and finally unite into one body. Thus, 3 objective positions are fulfilled. Since these 3 objective positions are centered on the origin, 4 respective positions are formed altogether. This creates the 4-position foundation. The significance of the number 4 is derived from this 4-position foundation. And since this is the result of the fulfillment of the 3 objective purposes, the significance of the number 3 is also found here. The 4-position foundation is manifested as God, husband and wife, and their offspring, with God as the origin, husband and wife as the manifested subject and object, and their offspring as the result of their unity. One can see 3 distinct stages. Thus the 4-position foundation becomes the basis of the 3 stages because it is fulfilled in 3 stages according to ODU action. This is also the basis of the significance of the number 12 because each of the 4 positions will take 3 objects, thus bringing about a total of 12 objects. The 4-position foundation is the base for the fulfillment of God's goodness and is the ultimate goal of His creation. This is the base through which God's power is channeled to flow into all of His creation in order for the creation to exist. Therefore, the formation of the 4-position foundation is ultimately God's eternal purpose of creation. 4. The status of existence of the 4-position foundation. Whenever a creation has formed a 4-position foundation by fulfilling its 3 objective purposes through ODU action, it begins to perform global spherical movement in order to maintain its 3-dimensional existence. Let us now investigate the reason for this. When God's dual essentialities are divided and manifested in 2 substantial objects, one serving as subject and the other as object, they enter into a relationship and produce a reciprocal base. The object enters into give-and-take action by centering itself on the subject through centripetal force and centrifugal force. Consequently, the object begins to revolve around the subject, and thus they form one unit. According to this same principle, the subject, in turn, becomes an object to God, revolving around Him to form one unit with Him. When the object forms one unit with the subject, together they become a substantial object to God, since they reflect His dual essentialities. For this reason, any object must first unite with its subject before it is able to stand as an object to God. This substantial object to God has within itself the dual essentialities of subject and object, which perform continuous circular movement respectively due to the give-and-take action between the two. Therefore, this circular movement forms a specific orbit on our horizontal level according to the particular motion of the subject and object. However, since this movement is generally performed with the angles of the orbit constantly varying, centering on the subject, this circular movement will eventually become spherical movement. Accordingly, all beings that have completed the four-position foundation revolve in either circular or spherical movement, making the manner of existence three-dimensional. Let us look at the example of the solar system. With the sun as the subject, all the planets act as its objects by forming a reciprocal relationship with the sun through the action of give and take. Through the action of centripetal force and centrifugal force, each planet consequently revolves around the sun. During this process of revolution, the sun and the planets become one unit, thus creating the solar system. The Earth, which in itself is a complex body of dual essentialities, is not the only body which rotates on its axis. The sun and the planets around it, which are complex bodies of dual essentialities in themselves, also rotate upon their own axes. The circular movement of the solar system, which has been caused by the give-and-take action between the sun and the planets, does not always occur on a single plane, but constantly changes its angle of orbit around the sun. Thus, the solar system, by performing this spherical movement, becomes three-dimensional. In this manner, all the heavenly bodies exist in three dimensions through either circular or spherical movement. The entire universe, which consists of numerous heavenly bodies, exists as one unit through give-and-take action and moves spherically under the same principle, thus existing three-dimensionally. When a proton and electron, by forming a reciprocal base, enter into give-and-take action with the proton as the center, there occurs a circular movement which makes the two into one unit, and thus an atom is produced. The proton and the electron also have dual essentialities which are engaged in continuous individual movement. Therefore, the circular movement caused by the give-and-take action between the proton and the electron does not occur on a horizontal level alone, but constantly changes its angle of movement so that it becomes spherical movement. Thus, the atom, too, exists on a three-dimensional level. Thank you.